Welcome to the 311 Griffins YouTube channel. We are reviewing the A-4E-C Skyhawk mod today, which is a free mod. It's very detailed and it is actually very cool, so let's get right into it. But before we do, I want to point out two things. One, I'm getting a lot of frame drops, especially in external views, which I haven't had happen since I got my new computer. I don't know if that's related to the mod or not, but I haven't had it happen in a while, so I'm not for sure why that's going on. Also, I'm very twitchy on the controls on this aircraft, and I don't know if that's the mod or if it's just me. So I may have to adjust my controls a little bit. What you're about to see is all from just jumping right into the module. So keep watching, and we'll talk about the A-4E-C Skyhawk. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed is there are some missions for this module. There's not many, but there are some missions. So I was impressed with that, because I don't even get that on official modules sometimes, and it really makes me mad. But there's a lot of detail in the cockpit. Not every switch is clickable. Not even, and some switches I noticed are clickable, but they don't animate. So there are some bugs here and there. Maybe not bugs. It may just be something they haven't gotten to yet. I'm not really for sure, but there are some switches that you can click, but they do not animate, like this one, if I remember when I clicked that. But there's a floodlight thing here, flood brightness. Yeah, it doesn't animate. So and there's other switches that just aren't implemented, and that's fine. The official modules are that way too. What's really cool about this is it is a clickable cockpit, and you can do a lot by just looking around the cockpit and clicking on things. That's a lot of detail. The cockpit looks good. There's a lot of detail in the cockpit. There's a lot of detail on the aircraft itself. Not it did not look like the ailerons were moving. I could have been mistaken. I wasn't paying that close to attention to it. And it is a simple flight model, or a standard flight model, you might say, as you'll see later on in the video. But there's some other little oddities that happened here and there. But for the most part, it's a really detailed module, and it's very, very impressive, especially for cheapest free module. So, but yeah, the cockpit is there's a lot implemented here. I was struggling with the controls and with getting everything to work right, because even with the manual, I was just kind of struggling with it. I don't know if well, I'm certain that I wasn't doing it right, but there are some bits on the manual that are a little bit hard for me to follow. And you can already see I'm getting a little bit twitchy there. So I could not get rockets to fire whatsoever, and I was really having trouble with bombs. On this bomb run, this was the only bomb run I attempted. I got bombs to fall, but they all fell at the same time, and I missed because I have no idea how to change the scope on this thing. But the manual is pretty detailed, and this is, at least as far as I can tell, this aircraft is a lot simpler than some, like the A-10 or even the MiG-21. Maybe not in real life, but at least as far as the module is created, it seems a little bit simpler. But as detailed as it is, and as detailed as I think the manual was, it was hard for me to follow, and I just really had some trouble getting that set up right. I don't think those were bugs, but the fact that the bombs fell all at the same time, I'm sure I have a setting incorrect. The guns are insanely fun. I might fly this aircraft around the lot just so I can shoot stuff with the guns. They were a ton of fun. I haven't done any air-to-air with it in terms of missiles. I just did air-to-air guns. Did a little dogfight with a Tomcat, but did a lot of ground attack runs with the guns, and I'm not very good with it because, again, I'm really twitchy with this aircraft, but it was a blast. It flies really well, or it's easy to fly, I should say, and again, I think that's because it's a simplified or a standard flight model. I think that's has a lot to do with why it's so easy to fly. It didn't seem to really stall out. I mean, I stalled it out on purpose. It didn't really, the stall characteristics were really, really gentle, which leads me to believe, I don't think this aircraft was that bad in real life. I haven't done a ton of research on it, but it just seems like it should be a little bit harder than what it really was in real life. I don't know that the gun pods are actually loading. You guys saw right there, you could see there should have been gun pods there, but I don't think they're there. I kept thinking that maybe they were those curves on the bottom of the wings, but there should be one on the center line as well. There is one on the center line, but it's just not there. But you can see how cool all those guns are. And it puts out just a tremendous spray that you don't have a lot of time on the guns, just like in any other aircraft, but it's a riot because you've got two in the fuselage standard, and then you can mount 3 different pods, and I think there's 1 gun in each pod. So here was the Dogfight with the Tomcat. I broke it up it didn't last that long. It's actually the shortest guns only fight I think I've ever had in DCS. I just put the Tomcat driver on average because I'm just not really that good at it, but with how easy this aircraft was to fly, and you can see some twitchiness there and some like odd behavior. You can tell it's fairly standard or simplified, but between the Tomcat being on average and this aircraft being so easy to fly and so forgiving, and me having a total of 5 cannons to shoot at him with, it didn't last that long. But it was a lot of fun. It was absolutely a lot of fun. And again, I haven't tried the Sidewinders yet. I think that they'll be pretty easy to use. I'm not going to go through any of the usage of how to do any of this stuff because you're better off searching other YouTube videos and looking at the manual for that. But this was just meant to be a review. So all of that is just to say that like the PAC-FA, this is a free module that's really, really easy to download and install. It took no time at all to download and install it. The manual is pretty clear, but fairly short, fairly easy to go through and absorb. And I think really in no time at all you would be able to pick this module up and just have some fun with it. And it's free, so you can get DCS World for free, and then you can get this module for free, and you can play around with it and start figuring out kind of how some of this stuff works. And then if you wanted to pick up a module from Eagle Dynamics, you could certainly pay for a module then and get a little bit deeper into combat flight simulators. But no, they did an absolutely wonderful job on this module, and I think it's really cool that they put all the work into it, just like the PAC-FA, only this one's more detailed. It's got clickable cockpit and all that. So, and it's got, as far as I can tell, it's got more systems modeled as well, because it has to. You can see those slats right there. This is a sidebar. You can see those slats coming out, or spoilers, I think they call them on this jet, coming out there on the front. So there's some animations on the outside that are pretty cool, that add a lot of detail. You gotta shoot a man while he's down there. So yeah, very detailed for a free module, and it's made by a hardworking group of people that wanted to do something for the community and had an interest in this jet, and so they there you have it. They've made it and released it to the public. So not to belabor the point about how simple this flight model is and how docile it is, but I'm actually falling, sort of. I got this to 0 airspeed, pointed up like that, and it was just sort of tweaking out in the air. And then I relaxed the stick, and the nose down picked up speed, no spins or anything like that. I think it was technically falling backwards ever so slightly, but I don't believe this plane should behave that way in real life, and I'm only pointing that out to just show that it is not a professional flight model, and they're not claiming that it's a professional flight model. It even says in the manual that it's not. So I'm not, like, I am only pointing out that it is not, I don't know how this aircraft would behave in real life, but it probably isn't quite like that. That's all I'm saying. So it's going to be a little bit easier to fly than some of the more authentic, I guess, modules. One thing you'll see here, I'm pushing down on the nose because this aircraft can bounce a little bit, and it does, which is realistic. And you see the nose goes through the pavement there. That might be a DCS issue and not a bug with this module. I don't really know. But it happened, and I wanted to show it because I thought it was pretty funny. But you can really see the detail there in the module, the external model, and I love it. And you can't beat the price, right? So here's the page on the Eagle Dynamics forums, the official one. It's got links to their manual, and it just talks about the module a little bit, and then of course they've got a link to their website as well, which has a lot of the same information on it. But you can see the members of the community who contributed, and you can get some documentation there on the GitHub website. But again, this is a really stellar module, and it gives you a little bit of versatility in that time period, which is kind of cool because that's something we're missing from DCS at the moment. But well, I've rambled on enough about that. You guys can research it if you want and install it and try it out if you want. And as always, happy flying and thanks for watching.